Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Deacon Hoover Radio Network. This is Adam, your host for Alex Deacon's Shorts. And I know that sounded really, really bad. So now that I'm hosting Alex Deacon's Shorts, it's Alex Deacon, the Deacon himself. Alex, what's going on?
Hey, Adam. I actually have shorts on today.
There we go.
I'm wearing my tighty whities.
Yeah, now we're talking about something special today.
That's ugly. Good thing this is a video, right?
Good thing we are audio only.
So what are we going to discuss today, Adam?
You know what, Alex? I was thinking that, because I'm not really in the real estate game as much as you, I need to know where I can find killer deals. Or if I was an investor, or if I was an agent looking around at where and when should I be looking for some fantastic killer deals?
Well, I tell you what, you should be looking all the time. All the time. You could be at, I think we've discussed this before, you could be at the Starbucks drive-up window, and you hand out your business card to that person, and maybe mention, hey, have you seen is there any good deals in your neighborhood? Maybe any real estate? Are you looking for something? Just start a conversation. So your radar's always up.
So you're always on your game. It's always talking.
Your question was, when should I be looking? Mm-hmm. Every second that your eyeballs are open. You writing that down?
Yes, sir.
Step 1, look every second your eyeballs are open.
So, step 1, look every second your eyeballs are open.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay.
And then but how do you watch it? Just use your peripherals for incoming traffic, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you have to be looking all the time. You have to be on, that you're like a bloodhound, a real estate bloodhound. So where do I find the deals? That's a good question. There's so many different venues, right? You can go obviously online is probably the easiest now that the internet is so widespread and so awesome that you can go on Google Maps and look at an entire neighborhood without leaving, your chair. So you're online constantly. You have agents, maybe they're working for you, bringing deals to you. You can work with wholesalers. Those are kind of like, we call them bird dogs. So they're out there finding the deals. They're making a few bucks on the deal, and they're passing it on. They make a quick dollar, and then you have something you're going to buy, fix, and flip, or buy, fix, and rent out.
Okay. Now, as far as online, I know we reference Google Maps a lot. What else online? Is there any other tools that you would recommend using, or that you use on an everyday basis that maybe people aren't as familiar with, or even if it's a refresher for people's minds? What else do you use?
I'm not super tech savvy, so I'll tell you what I use is, because I'm a real estate agent, I have access to the West Penn multi-list. I use the West Penn multi-list.
Okay.
And I don't even use that to its full extent because, like I said, I'm not real tech savvy. I use what I need to use, and I become proficient at it, and that's it. Google Maps is phenomenal.
Okay.
I just got actually two large monitors for my computer, which is really helpful because you could be looking at the Allegheny County website and looking at the map on there, or looking at pictures of a house on that screen, and then on the other screen maybe you're perusing the neighborhood, literally. I was gonna compliment you. You look like Matthew Broderick in War Games in here. There's a couple different screens going on. I like this. It's very helpful. I just got it, and it's super helpful. I'm still getting used to it. But so as far as what other tools do I use? Google Search or Google Maps, the Allegheny County website. So whatever county you're in, doesn't have to be in Western PA. I'm sure that the county has some sort of website that has all their tax assessments on there, and maybe even if it's like the Allegheny County site, you have pictures, you have maps, things like that. I use the West Penn multi-list. There are so many other sites, like there's Trulia, there's Zillow, there's a site called Redfin. There's just tons and tons of ways that you can find, I am sure, to research real estate other than the ones I've just told you. But the maps is critical, and you're going to use that. So technically speaking, that's what I use.
Now, what are your thoughts about people that use maybe like Craigslist, or I've heard of people doing Craigslist, newspapers that even though print isn't as popular as what it once was, right. Auctions. What about those outlets?
Okay, so auctions are good. There's a site out there called auction.com. There's tons of auction sites. That's just one of them. There's another site called Hudson Marshall. They do a lot of auctions, Hudson and Marshall.
Okay.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's
But these are good to use though too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
These are just a few of them. There's Auction World USA. We bought a few from them. There is Hubzu, Hubzu.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's another site. The HUD site. HUD, like the HUD foreclosures. I think if you just Google HUD, you'll probably come up with their site. That's all. There's a ton on there. Those are any VA loans or any FHA loans, and that's an enormous amount of volume on that site.
Okay.
So that's probably helpful. Most of those sites, a lot of them, you have to have an agent to put the offer in for you.
Okay.
But you can still research a lot without having to bother your agent or wait for them to respond to you. You can research and be ahead of the curve. Because everything in this business, I guess just like anything, is very time sensitive. So you have to react quickly. You have to make quick decisions when you see the property. And in order to make quick decisions, you have to have that background, that experience, so you can make those quick decisions.
And
right?
you make instinctive decisions too.
Yeah, because then the quick decisions tend to get you in trouble if you don't have the knowledge and the expertise to back it up. So it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Make quick decisions or getting the experience. You got to kind of do them both, make mistakes, and then get up and learn.
Now, I already know that this is going to be a question that really there is no answer to, and that's kind of why I'm asking it. But, is there, to the answer of when should I be looking, or when should any, potential investors or future agents out there, when should they be looking for properties? When do you have the most luck? Is there ever a time of day where you find the most success, or is it one of those where you kind of got to be on your game at all times, constantly looking, checking different points of the day?
Mm-hmm. Always. You're always looking. I mean, of course, you want to have balance. You don't want to be, you have a couple kids at home and they're like, Dad, can you talk to me? No, I'm looking for real estate.
No.
I have to look for real estate. Alex said look all the time.
I'm just your dad. Why would I want to talk to you?
But your real estate radar is up all the time. Let's say your little 5-year-old son says, hey, Sally's moving and I'm going to miss her. Well, maybe you want to get a hold of Sally's parents.
Right.
Okay, so your 5-year-old son just gave you a lead.
See, and a lot of that is, and that's the thing. You find leads everywhere in the most, in the most intricate spots, and I think that's where a lot of people miss. They're not constantly thinking, "Hey, wait a minute." We all hold conversations on an everyday basis where you might talk to a friend you haven't spoken to in a long time. Like we always talk about, you run into somebody at the coffee shop, at the post office, and you always talk to somebody that seems to know somebody that is either, especially in this area, is either moving, recently has moved, or knows. You know what I mean? There's always some sort of connection that. They beat it. In a previous life, I was in wireless industry, and that was one of the things that we always had to do. And if that's that way with cell phones, why wouldn't it be that way with homes and with property?
Yeah, absolutely. Your radar is always up. I was just Googling reticular activator, and I used that word, but I never really knew what it meant.
What does it mean?
I'm still looking.
I feel like unfrozen caveman lawyer here.
How the brain controls your attention. So what it is I learned that, and I took a seminar or something. They talked about reticular activator. Now I use it because it makes me sound smart. So now I know what it means, sort of. But that's your radar. It's basically your radar. Mm-hmm. Your reticular activator is your radar. So, like for instance, my wife, her radar is probably up all the time for shoes. Mine's up for real estate. Right. It's no difference. So, here's a good example. You're driving down the road. You just bought this new blue Chevy, and now you realize all you see is blue Chevys. Like, I thought I was the only one with a blue Chevy.
Right.
Your reticular activator. Does that work?
Yeah, because you don't notice it really until you have it yourself. Mm-hmm. Then it becomes a little bit more familiar.
Yeah. So yeah, you're always looking. Well, let's go back to where. So we talked about the internet and some of those sites. You did say Craigslist.
Yes, sir.
And of course, that's absolutely anything online that has a list that's somewhat organized is going to be an easy way to find properties. You can also you could put door hangers on vacant properties. Now, I don't know how much of a good idea that is, because if it's vacant, how many people are going to be
right,
looking at their door.
Right.
But you can go maybe to the county website, find out who owns the property, and sometimes on that website, on our county website, it says the address, but then at the bottom it'll say where the tax bill goes to, and the tax bill address may be different than the subject property. So you'll know if the property is at ABC Main Street in Carnegie, but the tax bills are going to XYZ Street in Canonsburg. Those folks probably live in Canonsburg, and it was probably a rental property. So you send them a letter. Stop by, knock on their door. Hey, I saw your house is vacant. Don't feel like you have to step out of yourself and be willing to go up to their house in Canonsburg and knock on their door.
You have to be aggressive.
I've sent you some letters. I just want to make sure you absolutely got them, and are you interested in selling?
Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing I think that a lot of men and women don't understand when they get into this is that you, in a way, kind of, like you said, always being on your game, you always have to be ready to communicate too, and you can't ever feel like you're bothering or you're hindering someone, because then you're only going to hinder your own success and your own income.
Yeah, and don't be shy. I mean, if you are shy and you're bad at communicating, you will become better at it. It is without a doubt. I mean, I'm not the best communicator. I'll tell you that. I'm probably average, but I was way below average when I first started in this business, because it just wasn't something that I didn't communicate well. So you're going to get better at it. You can't be afraid to make mistakes and screw up, and you just have to learn. And you don't fail in this business. When you do fail, I just consider it. You have to look at it like, I didn't fail, I learned,
right,
and move on. Okay. But so Craigslist is a good one. Vacant properties. I guess the newspaper is not used as much, but I tell you what about the newspaper is anybody who advertises in like print. Typically, they might be the older generation, because they're not hip on the online stuff. So I guess some of the newspaper ads could be little gems, because not a lot of people are looking at those. Maybe the older guy selling his house thinks that people actually still do read the one ads and such. Mm-hmm. That might be a good place to look.
I'd be able to find that. You can find some bargains that way.
Yep, because they're not getting much exposure.
Right. And let's face it, there's a certain generation that they'll never even pick up a newspaper. They probably don't even know where to find the classifieds in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. My daughter sees me, and I'll read like the Pittsburgh Business Times, and she goes, "Don't just old people read the newspaper, Dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess."
Jeez. In 20 years, we'll be like, "Remember when we used to read and get ink all over our hands?"
Yeah, I think not too far in the future, I mean, literally, the computer will read you the article. Most likely, right?
It's just like an audiobook. Yeah. Just like what we're doing right here, in a way.
So newspapers, where else can we find deals?
Networking, obviously.
Networking, that's a great one. What's networking? Networking is, again, that's the person at the Starbucks counter, or that's, you might go to a real estate convention somewhere. You might go to a monthly real estate meeting, like we hold monthly meetups, and we do investor workshops. On the smaller scale, we get like 20 to 30 people. There are some venues like Acre and RIA that get hundreds. So that's a place you want to network. Get to know, grow your tentacles, get those out there, and you're meeting more and more people. Another way to find good deals is there's a thing called a sheriff sale. Okay. Might be different names in different parts of the country, but those are properties that maybe they're behind on their taxes, they're falling behind on their mortgage, and the municipality or the school district or the mortgage company is legally taking the property back through that sheriff sale process. That's one way to find deals. I wouldn't recommend it for people starting out because it's super technical and very difficult. You really have to know what you're doing. And it's high risk. Okay. But the return could be good too.
Okay.
The MLS is fantastic. Of course, that means you need to either get your license, which I would recommend getting your real estate license, but also working with agents. For example, I'm a real estate agent. I've been involved in thousands of transactions for clients. It doesn't mean I don't use other agents. I have agents that bring me deals all the time. So that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with another agent bringing me a deal and they make all the commission, because that's a deal I never would have had access to.
Right.
So even I have agents who work for me. So you should have agents working for you, and maybe consider getting your MLS license.
Okay.
Not hard to do, and it's not expensive to keep it active.